submarine, Russian submarine,
Yes.
Russian crew in Syria with an Iranian flag.
Now, has that dissolved, or is that still sort of
No, it's
building?
building. I can't believe it hasn't happened yet. I mean, the commander that we know in Israel, he told me last November that they were ready to do their thing.
And they're not, because
Israel's ready.
the power plant in Iran still hasn't been hit, so they're still refining it.
Right.
So that's, once it's online, it's going to go through. You can't, I mean, by international law, you can't blow it up when it's operational. So,
You got to remember something. The UN is really stupid. They push Israel around. Okay, do some homework. Find this out. What nation has the United Nations sanctioned against war? Voted against war. Look at the voting record of the UN against Israel. You're going to be shocked. Right now, Israel's being condemned for not giving up land for a Palestinian state. It's heating up. Abbas this week said, no, if we don't get land, we're going to war. Abbas said that this week. That's serious words. Now, Abbas doesn't even have an army. Why would he say that? I mean, Abbas, what are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Abbas is the prime minister of Gaza, of the Palestinian Authority. You're going to go to, if Israel doesn't give you land, you're going to go to war. You don't have an army. Why would he say that? Because he knows Hezbollah and Hamas will be backed up by Syria and by Iran and Lebanon. Wild, man. That is wild. But Israel's absolutely ready.
they're relatively prepared.
No, they're not relatively prepared. They are absolutely totally prepared.
So, like, say they go, like, we wouldn't go with them, or because Obama's like,
They'll
not.
go without us. They'll go without us.
Well,
That's what I was saying about the UN. The UN pushes Israel, thinking that they're going to control Israel. And what happens is Israel realizes, hey, they're pushing us and pushing us and pushing us. They must not ever intend to defend us, so we'll defend ourselves. And that is a dangerous place to have Israel think that there's no nation on earth that will stand in support of it. What are you doing? You're telling it you're on your own. When you tell somebody they're on their own, they either perish or they defend themselves. And Israel is not going to perish. God said, once I bring Israel back into their own land, they shall never again be uprooted. The world thinks, we'll just push them and they'll comply. The exact opposite's going to happen.
So, but wasn't even Israel, weren't they kind of bending the knee towards giving up land for peace?
You know they will, according to Zechariah 12 and 14 and Joel 3, you know that they're going to settle for some sort of an antichrist deal to give up something for peace. Because Ezekiel 38 tells you that they will be dwelling in the land safely when the northern army attacks them. And the word in Hebrew for safely is a Hebrew word that means an assumed safety. It's not real. It's an imagined. It's a hoped-for peace. They're going to be deceived. Pretty amazing. The Bible's so amazingly clear on it. So we're living an amazing time. You guys, you're alive right now to be watching the news regarding a global issue, and it's the dividing up of the land of Israel. My Bible said that would happen, and that Israel would agree on a peace treaty. The Bible says, Daniel chapter 9, that would happen. And you're watching in the news. How can you not be a believer? It's all there. It's absolutely awesome. And you're watching this stuff play out. You're watching prophecy every day in the news. It's really remarkable stuff. But God has placed this in the U.S. God has given, the Bible says He has set the borders and boundaries of the nations of the world. He's put us here. We're to defend it. We're to stand for righteousness. And you rightly mentioned Hitler and how he came to power during economic depression in Germany. He promised them. He did the Obama deal. You guys, a lot of Democrats, not in office, Democrats are angry at Barack because he promised so much and didn't come through. He's disillusioned his own supporters. Hitler promised and at first came through, but couldn't produce. And the German people were so sad and so self-loathing that they were deceived by him. But you talk about what's happening in America right now. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, under Hitler's regime, he was Germany's pastor. Bonhoeffer saw what was going on. He spoke out against Hitler. Read what you can about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. In fact, he wrote a great book all of us should read. I read it when I was a brand new Christian in 79, 78. It's called The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. It's incredible. He's Germany, outside of Martin Luther, is probably Germany's most famous theologian. You know what happened to him? He spoke against Hitler and criticized him. Hitler hired the church, he hired the pastors in Germany, put them on government payroll, and then controlled them. He made a state church in Germany. When the Third Reich said, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that, Hitler said, you will do this, and you will do that. And the Third Reich said, what are we going to do about the churches and the pastors? And Hitler said, give me 1 year. I'll take care of the pastors myself. They'll do anything for money. And he was right. He controlled the state church, except Dietrich Bonhoeffer. They threw him into prison, and they hung him with a piano string dead. The guy would not bow his knee to Hitler. He was like Daniel. Awesome man of God. Imagine today if Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid would have been here today hearing what we said today. They would have been just seething inside. It's not that they're just flat out wicked people. It's that there's a spirit of Antichrist in them. They believe the answer is government. They believe that the answer is they believe that you're too stupid to make your own decisions. We'll make them. They're against independence. They're against your own sovereignty. It's remarkable. And you guys read American history. You'll love it. We are Americans. We're from every country on earth. And we've come here because we believe in what America stands for. That's what makes us Americans. You guys have heard me say before, there's no American DNA. I'm Portuguese. You may be African. You may be Japanese. You may be Chinese or Korean or Mexican. This is cool. It's America. It's us. We have that independent spirit. We've been brought up with it. The sad thing is, in modern public school system, it's taking that out of your heart. You guys, have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
And I don't remember that one kingdom, but remember that one king, he's sitting on the throne and he's all gray and he can barely breathe. And that devil guy's talking into his face the whole time. Remember that? Okay? That's exactly like your generation. You guys are in the chair and progressivism is speaking into you and taking your heart out of you. You need to think radical. You need to think like Thomas Jefferson said. Thomas Jefferson said, every generation needs a revolution. When's the last time we had a revolution? It doesn't have to be with guns. That's to the extreme.